Apocalypse plus natural disasters plus extreme cold plus space plus rebirth plus hoarding plus pets. The natural disaster suddenly descended, heavy rain poured down, extreme cold suddenly arrived, and the Ice Age arrived. In the previous life, Nancy and 4 cats followed the rescue team to the sports arena. 4 cats were skinned, cramped, and ate meat, and Nancy himself was frozen to death in the heavy snow. A month before the end of the world, Nancy opened the space for jade bracelets. Hoarding supplies, selling villas, buying high-rise buildings, and building safe houses, Nancy decided to carry 4 cats to the end. Canned cat food, cat litter, grains, oil, fruits, meat, and eggs, all packed into the space. Others were shivering in the extreme cold, while Nancy was warm as spring in a safe room. Encountering the cat slayer in the gym again, Nancy closed the door with a knife and released the cat. Revenge, cats. Keywords of the novel. Natural disaster. After hoarding billions of supplies, I lay down in one without a pop-up window. Natural disaster. After hoarding billions of supplies, I lay down in one. Download the full text. Natural disaster. After hoarding billions of supplies, I lay down and won the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Rebirth after death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Rebirth after death. X City, Nanhuhuayuan Villa area, Villa number 6. On the bed of the master bedroom on the 2nd floor, there is a short-haired girl lying. The girl's eyebrows furrowed tightly, her face pale, and her breathing rapid. She lay on the comfortable and soft bed covered in a blanket, but her body was trembling. After a while, the girl slowly opened her eyes and looked around with a slightly confused expression. This is. Nancy spoke in disbelief, looking at everything in front of her and feeling somewhat incredulous. Isn't this the villa she lived in from childhood to adulthood? After the end of the natural disaster, the whole villa area was flooded by continuous rainstorm. Nancy had to leave with other owners of the villa area along with the rescue team, and never came back. Also, isn't she dead? Why does it appear in the bedroom of the villa? With a flash of inspiration in her mind, Nancy thought of a possibility and immediately looked at the bedside table, where she found her own phone. Pressed to light up the screen, and Nancy can clearly see the time. April 15, 33:33. It's 6:58 a.m. now. So, is she reborn? Reborn a month before the end of the world. Nancy remembers clearly that the end of the natural disaster occurred on May 15, 33:33, with the arrival of a super heavy rainfall. Everyone thought it was just an ordinary heavy rain, but it never stopped raining. The sky was like a hole had been poked out, and rainwater poured directly from the sky. Just one night passed, and the accumulated water entered the house, causing furniture to float on the water. On the 2nd day, the rain did not decrease at all, and as the 2nd floor was submerged, Nancy could only follow the rescue team to transfer to the gymnasium. I thought it was just a temporary shelter, but the heavy rain kept pouring for a few months. The accumulated water is getting deeper and deeper, causing the river to break through the embankment and form a flood. The heavy rain and raging floods caused water and power outages. There are many people in the gymnasium, but the amount of relief food is getting less and less. The quarrels have gradually turned into physical conflicts, and the situation of stealing and looting supplies is becoming more and more intense. In this case, the 4 cats brought by Nancy became fresh meat in the eyes of others. Even with 1,000 defenses, Nancy was unable to defend the 4 cats. One night, Nancy was knocked unconscious by someone, and when she woke up, she only saw fragmented cat skin and bones. Thinking of the bloody scene, Nancy felt heartbroken and could hardly breathe. Although she sacrificed her life to avenge the 4 cats, she also became a true lonely family. The heavy rain stopped in the 5th month of the apocalypse, when it had just entered October and the weather should not have been very cold. However, it entered winter overnight on the night when the heavy rain stopped. The accumulated water was frozen into thick ice and covered in heavy snow. The weather is getting colder day by day, and in the end, it reaches -60.70 degrees Celsius. Trees and land are frozen in the ice layer, and even lower houses cannot see a roof. Half of the upper floors are frozen by the ice, leaving only half exposed on top of the ice, causing a sharp compression of people's living space. Without electricity, people can only light fires for warmth. The ice layer is several tens of meters thick, and trees and plants are frozen underneath, making it very difficult to dig. There is no food, no fire, and the living environment is becoming increasingly harsh. Nan Ci struggled to survive in this environment and barely managed to hold on for another 6 months. Lack of appetite, lack of warmth in clothing, grab a handful of snow when thirsty, and take 2 more bites of ice when hungry. But even so, Nan Ci didn't last long and eventually reached the limit of her body, dying in a snowy night. Nan Ci remembers clearly that at that time, her body was withered and thin, like an old woman. Exposed to the outside with fingers, toes, face, and ears, all turning purple and black, not a single piece of skin is good. Thinking of the various pains she had suffered for almost a year, Nan Ci's body trembled again. Life in the apocalypse is too difficult and bitter. Perhaps reborn, able to be reborn for a lifetime, Nancy is still unwilling to give up hope of rebirth. She wants to live. I want to live well with her 4 cats. The heavy rain will only come for a month, so she can definitely move to a high-rise house and store up supplies before the heavy rain arrives. Last time there was nothing, she could hold on for almost a year. There is a month to prepare for this life, and Nancy doesn't believe it. She can't live longer with 4 cats. Thinking of the hardships of lacking food and clothing in his past life, and the embarrassment of not having a suitable weapon to use, Nan Ci lifted the blanket and got out of bed. Time is life, she cannot waste a single bit, she must go out and buy now. Getting up too hard, Nan Ci's eyes darkened and he almost fell over. Subconsciously, he went to help the door of the wardrobe, but his hand fell on the handle of the wardrobe. The handle of the wardrobe is metal, with sharp edges and corners, which directly cut through Nan Ci's fingers. Nan Ci stood up straight, looking at the wound on his finger, furrowed his brows, and didn't pay much attention to it. He planned to find a bandage to wrap it up. But at this moment, Nan Ci discovered a magical scene. At this moment, her fingers are facing upwards, and bright red blood flows down her wrist. The blood that could flow to the wrist was all absorbed by the jade bracelet worn on the wrist. Watching this scene, Nan Ci even doubted if she was dizzy. Before Nan Ci could take a closer look, the originally emerald green bracelet gradually turned red, and in the end, it shimmered with a dazzling red light. Nan Ci instinctively closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, she found that the scenery in front of her had completely changed. Although she was still standing in the bedroom a second ago, now she is standing in front of a bamboo tower. The bamboo house is built on the riverbank, and not far away is a babbling stream. On the other side of the bamboo house, there is a very fertile black soil at first glance. Nan Ci's eyes widened and she looked at everything in front of her with a shocked expression. This shouldn't be the legendary space, right? Is space actually real? Upon careful consideration, it is not impossible. She can be reborn after death, and there is a space in the jade bracelet, which seems normal. This jade bracelet is a relic left by Nan Ci's mother. It is said to be passed down from the family's ancestors. Although it has been verified by someone that it is not a precious jade, it is still of a long time. When Nan Ci's mother was still alive, she always wore it. After Nan Ci's parents passed away in a car accident, he put this bracelet on his wrist. I was originally just thinking of my mother, but I didn't expect such a big surprise to be hidden in the jade bracelet. The most important thing is, with such a space, can she stock up here? Not only can it be carried with you, but you don't have to worry about others coveting it, it's a must-have in the apocalypse. Nan Si was excited for a while before adjusting her emotions and continuing to observe the space. In front of the bamboo tower, there is a circular white jade pond with a spring that is bubbling and bubbling. No matter how the spring surges, no drop of water spills out. This peculiar sight caught the attention of Nan Si, who lifted his foot and walked over. The constantly rolling spring water seemed to carry a unique fragrance, and the hooked Nan Si saliva overflowed, subconsciously swallowing it. After the end of the world, first, rainstorm triggered floods, resulting in water and electricity cuts and drinking difficulties. After the onset of extreme cold, the temperature is too low, and it takes a lot of fuel to turn snow into water. It can be said that Nan Si hasn't had a good time drinking water for a long time. The spring water is clear and bottomless, without any impurities. Without hesitation, Nan Si picked up the spring water with both hands and drank it in large gulps. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Jade Bracelet Space. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 2 Jade Bracelet Space. The taste of spring water is sweet and better than any water that Nancy has ever tasted. After drinking a handful of water, Nan Si felt a warm and comfortable sensation in her stomach. Gradually, Nan Si's body became hotter and the pain gradually hit. This sudden change caught Nan Si off guard. The pain gradually deepened, and Nan Si could no longer hold on. He fell directly to the ground and eventually passed out. When Nan Si woke up again, before her eyes could fully open, she smelled an extremely pungent odor. Nan Si suddenly sat up and lowered her head to see her jet-black arms, from which the sour smell emanated. The smell was so strong that Nan Si couldn't bear it for a moment. She immediately left the room and headed straight to the bathroom. After washing in the bathroom for over an hour, Nan Si finally cleaned herself up. Nancy, who had been washed clean, stood in front of the mirror and could clearly see himself in the mirror. His skin was fairer and more delicate than before, without any flaws. Not only did his appearance change, but his body also became incredibly light, as if he could fly directly with just one jump. Nan Si is also someone who has read countless novels, and by this time he has understood what is going on. The spring water she drank should be a spiritual spring that can wash essence and slay marrow. All the impurities in the body have been discharged, how could it not be light? Just as Nan Si was planning to go out and find clothes to wear, he saw a red dot the size of a red bean on his left wrist, which contrasted sharply with his fair skin. On Nan Si-yuan's wrist, there was originally no such red dot. It should be because the bracelet merged with her, that's why there's such a red mole added. Nan Si touched the red mole, but the person appeared directly in the space, already standing in front of the bamboo tower. Nan Si. It seems that touching can enter space, so in the future, be careful when facing outsiders. Although there should be only herself in the space, Nan Si was still not used to running around and quickly left the space, finding clothes to put on. With a thought, Nan Si appeared again in the space. At first glance, there is a blue sky and white clouds, with the sun still hanging in the sky, but the temperature is very suitable and the sunlight is not dazzling. The bamboo tower is quiet, the stream is babbling, and the land is fertile. There are about 10 acres of land, and the edges of the land are covered in white mist. Even the stream cannot see its source or direction. Nan Si was thinking of going to the edge of the land, and as expected, he arrived at the edge of the white mist in the next moment. In this space, Nan Si can move freely, which is very convenient. Nan Si looked at the white mist in front of him and tentatively touched it. The feeling of getting it was like a wall, smooth and flat, icy and cool. Although she didn't know what was behind the white mist, Nan Si wasn't very curious either. Such a large space was already enough for her to use. After looking outside, Nan Si entered the bamboo tower. There are some antique furniture placed in the bamboo tower. The first floor is the living room, kitchen, and dining room, and there is also an entrance to a cellar in the kitchen. Nancy walked down the stairs and found that it was very bright inside. Looking up, there is a light source on the roof, but it is not a light, very soft and not dazzling. The cellar is large and empty, with no end in sight. Nancy looked at the endless cellar, and his slender fingers tapped on his chin, muttering to himself, "I've seen in a novel that some cellars have static time, I don't know if it's here. If time really stands still, then you can buy materials with peace of mind." Coming out of the cellar, Nancy followed the stairs up to the second floor. There are 2 rooms on the second floor, 1 bedroom and 1 study. There is a master step bed and a carved dressing table in the bedroom, which is much more exquisite and gorgeous than what you can see in a museum. The other room is the study, with bookshelves on all 4 walls and a large desk in the middle. Unfortunately, both the dressing table and the bookshelf were empty. The bamboo tower was already small, and the southern sea was quickly completed. There is such a bamboo tower, and if you encounter any danger in the future, you can also hide and live in the space. After coming out of the space, Nancy tried again and found that she could not enter the space. As long as she touched objects, she could put them into the space. All things sent into the space are controlled by Nancy, who can effortlessly place them in the desired position. After initially mastering the space, Nancy couldn't wait to take an ice cream from the refrigerator and put it in the basement. This is not for any other reason, just to see if the time in the basement is still. There is land in the space, and it cannot be wasted. Various fruits and vegetable seeds must be arranged. Nancy was pondering what to buy in her heart when she heard the sound of claws scratching the door. The sound stunned Nancy for a moment, followed by a huge surprise. Nancy walked quickly towards the door and opened the bedroom door. The bedroom door had just opened when a chubby and round blue and white cat walked in, spinning around Nancy's legs and making coquettish noises in its mouth. "Meow meow meow, Tang Yuan, glutinous rice ball." Nancy gave a surprised shout and bent down to hold Rice Dumpling in her arms. Rice Dumpling is a male cat, 3 years old, and has been sterilized. After sterilization, Rice Dumpling has completely developed laterally, becoming fatter and fatter, weighing 20 kilograms, which is comparable to a baby. When I embrace Rice Dumpling with Qiannan's words, I still feel a little heavy. But now Nancy found that she could easily pick up Rice Dumpling and didn't even feel heavy at all. Nancy knew that it was not Rice Dumpling that had lost weight, but that she had become better physically and stronger after washing the essence and cutting the marrow. This is a good thing. In the apocalypse of natural disasters, not only is the natural environment harsh, but people's hearts are also very dangerous. Having the ability to protect oneself is the key to living better and longer. Nancy walked out of the bedroom with Rice Dumpling in her arms and came to the first floor. There is an automatic feeder at home, and the cats will not be hungry, but Nancy put down Rice Dumpling and took 4 cans out of the cabinet. With the sound of opening the jar, the other 3 cats ran over with their tails up. The 3 cats headed straight for the open can and wolfed it down, chewing incessantly. Watching the 4 cats enjoying their delicious food, Nancy's heart finally calmed down, and a gentle curve curved her lips. Since his parents passed away a few years ago, Nancy has been living alone in a villa, which seems particularly spacious, so he has raised a cat. Over the course of 3 years, I have raised 4 cats. With the company of these 4 cats, Nancy's life is no longer dull, but much more interesting. For Nancy, the 4 cats are not only pets, but also companions and family. In the previous life, she failed to protect them well. In this life, she will surely make them live peacefully and happily until their final sleep. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Refining and Refining, Modifying RVs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error. Please try another translator. 4. Chapter 4. Starting Stockpiling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Starting to stock up. When buying these things, Nan Ci will come to the wholesale market. Don't underestimate wholesale markets. Not only do they offer a wide range of products, but some are even cheaper than online. Nan Ci parked his car at the entrance of the shop where he often buys things and walked straight in. The owner of this shop is a man in his 30s. When he saw Nan Ci coming in, he greeted him with a smile and said, "Xiao Nan is here. Is this still the same as before?" By more this time, Nan Ci shook her head. The man's smile remained unchanged. "Okay, how much do you want? I'll move it for you now." Before coming over, Nan Ci had already calculated an account. For cats consume 20 pounds of cat food per month, which is 240 pounds per year. But that was before. After washing the essence and marrow, Nan Ci's appetite increased significantly, and perhaps the cat's appetite also increased. To be on the safe side, we calculate based on 500 pounds of cat food per year, which would require 50,000 pounds in 100 years. A normal cat certainly cannot live for 100 years, but what if a cat that has drank spiritual spring water can survive? Whether one can survive or not, being prepared is crucial. The brand that Nan Ci often buys, a bag of cat food weighs 20 pounds, and 2,500 bags are enough to buy it. In addition to cat food, canned cats, cat strips, freeze-dried fish, catnip, and cat grass all need to be stored for 100 years. The most important thing is also cat litter. Not only can cats use cat litter, but after heavy rain, Nan Ci also needs to use cat litter herself, so cat litter cannot be reduced. Nan Ci decided to directly demand 200 tons. 2,500 bags of cat food, 5,000 boxes of canned cat food for each flavor, 5,000 boxes of cat strips for each flavor, 5,000 boxes of freeze-dried cat food, and 5,000 boxes of dried small fish. Cat mint, cat grass, various toys for cats, cat nests, food basins, water basins, cat litter basins, fully automatic and non-fully automatic, each requiring 100 sets. 200 tons of cat litter. Nancy finished speaking in one breath and looked at the stunned boss. "Is there any problem?" The boss's mouth had already opened into a big O. After hearing Nan Ci's inquiry, he slowly closed his mouth. "No problem, that's right. Why are you buying so much? Just those few cats in your house, they won't be used up in their lifetimes." Nancy smiled slightly and said, "I want to support several stray animal rescue stations. I won't be able to use it up for household use, but when it comes to supporting animal rescue stations, these things don't seem so much." The boss suddenly realized, so it's like this. With so many things, I don't have as many in stock in my store. We need to transfer the goods from the manufacturer. Can you wait, Xiao Nan? When saying this, the boss was cautious, afraid of making Nan Ci angry and not buying it. Of course, Nan Ci knew that the boss didn't have so much stock, so he just asked, "When is the fastest delivery time?" "The afternoon after tomorrow." "That's no problem," Nan Ci said. "I'll send you the warehouse address later and give you 1/3 of the deposit first. Is that okay?" No. I can't trust anyone, nor can I trust you, Xiao Nan." Nancy smiled and said, "By the way, I also want to donate some medical equipment and medicine for pets. Do you have any connections?" "Yeah." The boss patted his chest and promised, "That's what we do. Can you help me get a batch of medical equipment and medicine for pets, as well as vaccines? Money is not a problem, the things must be good. They will be delivered to the warehouse together the day after tomorrow. I will still give you half of the money first." "Okay. Don't worry, Xiao Nan, I'll handle things." Nan Ci is indeed at ease. This boss has opened such a large wholesale market, so he shouldn't have taken her deposit and run away. The boss didn't know that the end of the world was coming, so he definitely wanted to do long-term business with her and do his best to handle this matter. She will only continue to look for him next time. Unfortunately, there won't be another one. Nan Ci sighed in her heart and remained calm on her face, directly transferring the deposit. For the 4 cats, Nan Ci didn't hesitate at all, eating and using them were the best. After buying so many things, just a deposit cost 5 million. But Nan Ci doesn't care at all. After leaving the pet supplies store, Nan Ci didn't go to other stores to buy anything. Instead, he rented a remote and large warehouse and sent the address of the warehouse to the pet store owner. With the warehouse, Nan Ci returned to the wholesale market. The 4 cats have bought their clothes, food, housing, and transportation, and now it's time for Nan Ci's own things. Before getting off the car, Nan Ci specifically checked the ice cream in the basement of the space. The whole morning has passed, and the ice cream still feels as if it has just been taken out of the refrigerator, frozen hard and still emitting a chilly chill. After confirming that this basement can be kept fresh, Nan Ci felt even more confident in stocking up. Nan Ci arrived at the grain and oil wholesale area, looking at the packed grain and oil shops here, only feeling a surge of emotion. Buy. You must buy it hard. Wuchang rice, long grain fragrant rice, pearl rice, white noodles, each weighing 10,000 kilograms. Black rice, purple rice, glutinous rice, red beans, mung beans, yellow beans, red adzuki beans, cowpeas, and white kidney beans, each weighing 5,000 kilograms. 5,000 kilograms of corn flour, sweet potato flour, pea flour, and mung bean flour each. 1,000 kilograms of various starches, 500 kilograms of baking soda and 500 kilograms of baking powder each. Sugar belongs to strategic goods, but under the influence of money capacity, Nan Ci still bought 5,000 pounds. Brown sugar and rock sugar cannot be reduced, each weighing 1,000 pounds. As for various oils, whether it's peanut oil, soybean oil, blended oil, or olive oil, sesame oil, as long as they are used for cooking, each one requires 2,000 boxes. Pay half of the deposit, leave the address of the warehouse, agree on the delivery time, and then Nan Ci went to the seasoning and grocery store. People cannot avoid eating salt, salt must come in 5 tons. Nancy can't consume it all by herself, but maybe it can be used for other purposes. Other soy sauce, vinegar, light soy sauce, and aged soy sauce cooking wines, as well as various bagged bottled seasonings, each require 1,000 boxes. 500 boxes of hot pot seasonings of various flavors each. Lao Gan Ma, rice sauce, jar meat, chopped pepper sauce, mushroom sauce, Duban sauce, soybean sauce, etc., 1,000 boxes each. 500 cases of pickles, pickled Chinese cabbage, pickles, etc. After paying half of the deposit as usual and leaving the warehouse address, Nan Ci went to wholesale fast food and snacks. 2,000 boxes of instant noodles from various brands and flavors. Hot and sour noodles, crossing the bridge noodles, luosafen, self-heating small hot pot, etc., each also needs 2,000 boxes. Compressed biscuits, sweet and salty small biscuits, small bread, potato chips, shrimp sticks, guoba, spicy strips, wang xiaolu, pickled peppers and chicken feet, these are all big boxes and boxes to buy, each one requires thousands of boxes. High-calorie chocolate, Snickers, and various flavors of gummies, hard candies, and milk candies, each requiring 1,000 boxes. When the weather is cold, the body needs more heat and energy, which are good things to supplement heat and energy. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Selling villas to buy tall buildings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Selling villas to buy tall buildings. Thinking of more than 10 acres of land and water sources in the space, Nan Ci decided to buy some fruit trees and seeds. Nan Ci has never planted land before, and only after entering the seed shop did he realize that there are so many types of seeds. Just one carrot, there are many varieties. After thinking about a month, there won't be any more stores opening, so Nan Ci decided to buy some of every seed he could see. These seeds are all planted for one season without the next, which means they cannot be kept for planting. It's always right to prepare more. As for the varieties that can be kept for planting, because there are not many people who need them, some large seed stores do not have them, so you have to go to smaller stores to search for them yourself. Nancy didn't mind the trouble, so after having the seeds carried to her car, she went to several smaller seed shops. After more than an hour, I finally returned with a full load. The seeds are not expensive, but I can't bear the variety and quantity that Nancy bought, which cost 5 to 600,000 yuan. There are so many seeds that even Nancy can never use them up for a lifetime. This is not a waste, it is a full sense of security. Compared to being soaked in stagnant water, staying in her space can preserve it for a longer time. Nancy drove the car and changed direction. He first left the wholesale market, found a place without anyone or surveillance, collected all the seeds in the car into the space, and then went to the nearby orchard, buying 2 common fruit trees. What Nancy bought were all small seedlings, which could fit a lot in a car, but even so, he had to run back and forth 3 times before finally buying all of them. It was already noon, and Nancy found a small restaurant to have lunch before driving to the living department store. After the rain, people have never seen the sun again, and the weather will become colder and colder. Warm clothing and bedding are essential. It's already halfway through April, the weather has warmed up, and winter clothes are being discounted. Down jacket, woolen sweater, close-fitting warm jacket, woolen socks, woolen pants, snow boots, polar hiking suit, winter jacket, each size from L to 3L, each comes in 200 sets. Nancy only chooses black and white, and the style is also the most casual and loose, so that it can be folded and worn in cold weather. In addition, I bought 1,000 sets of underwear directly, and after returning, I washed them all clean and changed them as I wanted. Although there may not be warm weather in the future, in order to avoid special circumstances, Nancy still bought 200 sets of spring and autumn sprint clothes and quick-drying pants, as well as 500 sets of short-sleeved shorts. Various colors and styles of furry pajamas are also essential. If you buy 500 sets directly, you can easily change and wear them. Down quilt, duck down quilt, silk quilt, wool blanket, 100 pieces per sample, 500 sets of 4 pieces. I also bought 100 beds for a 10-pound cotton quilt. Although the cotton quilt is thick and a bit heavy on the body, it is really warm and can bring a full sense of security. Nancy really likes it. As for gloves, masks, hats, scarves, and windproof eyes, these are even more essential, and I bought 500 pieces of each type. These are not enough to keep warm. People who have not experienced the ice age have no idea how cold it will be. Just thinking about it, Nancy shivered and her fingers began to itch. Nancy knew that her fingers were not actually itchy, it was just a stress response after experiencing the end of the world and being frostbitten. As soon as she remembered that cold, her fingers felt as if they had really been frostbitten, painful and itchy. Nancy specifically went to buy heating supplies. Warm up 10,000 boxes of babies, including a small sun, a heater, a foot warmer, a heater, an electric oil heater, an electric blanket, and a hot water bag. Buy 100 each. Buy 100 charcoal burning braziers, portable ones that can be placed on the table or held in your hand. After buying so many heating supplies, Nancy felt relieved psychologically that her fingers were not as itchy anymore. At the outdoor supplies store, Nancy bought ropes, hand-cranked flashlights, solar flashlights, military shovels, windproof igniters, single-person tents, double-person tents, sleeping bags, hiking bags, rubber boats, submachine boats, skis, and sleds, each requiring 50 pieces. Alcohol lamps, alcohol stoves, portable gas stoves, and gas directly came to a large wholesale. Even if it's used for cooking every meal, it can last for 10 to 8 years. But relying on these is definitely not enough. Nancy went to buy dozens of gas stoves and also found a gas tank factory, directly buying 200 cans of gas. Although it took some extra effort, fortunately I still got it. Gas can only be used for cooking, and heating is definitely not possible. After the end of the world, power was quickly cut off, and after the power outage, the electricity did not recover. If you want to keep warm, you cannot rely on air conditioning, so you have to find another way. After searching online, Nancy finally ordered several large pots that burn coal and firewood. These are usually used for cooking in rural restaurants, with a strong rural atmosphere. But in the apocalypse, while cooking, one can also get warm, which can be said to be a win-win situation. Tainan has reserved 20 dishes for unexpected needs. In addition to food and clothing, toiletries and hygiene products cannot be omitted. I bought 1,000 boxes of toothpaste, toothbrushes, shampoo, shower gel, conditioner, laundry detergent, soap, toilet paper, sanitary napkins, physiological pants, various cleaning agents, dishwashers, disinfectants, each. After buying for a whole day, Nancy felt a bit tired and didn't go home to cook. Instead, she went to a Sichuan restaurant and ordered many of her favorite Sichuan dishes, which made her stomach round. When Nancy returned home, it was already 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, and it was already dark. Nancy took a shower, changed into clean and comfortable pajamas, and casually turned off the lights in the bedroom before flashing into the space. There seems to be no distinction between day and night in the space. It's already pitch black outside, but the space is still bright and white as day. The one hanging in the sky, I don't know if it's really the sun. After looking at it twice, Nancy went to the basement and sorted out the things inside. During the day, I only focused on putting things inside, everything was messy and inconvenient to find in the future. Although Nancy doesn't need to personally tidy it up, when everything is sorted out, Nancy is also tired and goes to bed when she gets out of space. The next morning, Nancy got up early and played with 4 cats for a while before leaving the door again. What Nancy wants to buy this time is for drinking. Cola, Sprite, mineral water, fruit juice and milk functional drinks, each one requires 1,000 boxes. There is a water source in the space, but it is also necessary to prepare more. In addition, power generation equipment is also necessary, but Nancy does not plan to buy these domestically. Not only power generation equipment, but also coal and firewood, gasoline and diesel, weapons, and a large amount of meat, Nancy plans to purchase them abroad. Not only because it is more convenient to travel abroad, but also because there is no psychological burden to hoard goods outside. Nancy did not immediately go abroad. She needs to receive all the ordered goods first, put them in the space, and then go abroad. By the way, take advantage of this time to handle the matter of the house. The villa she is currently living in is definitely not suitable for living anymore, and it is also easy to sell. After all, there are many wealthy people, and the location and environment of this house are good. There is also room for appreciation. As long as she is willing to sell, some wealthy people are willing to buy it. Nancy directly contacted the agent and said he wanted to sell the house, with the only requirement being that the other party pay the full amount. This house has a market value of 50 million yuan. For the average person, they can't afford it for a lifetime, but for some people, it's just money for a car. After hanging the house with the agent, Nancy asked the agent to help her find a new house. The requirements are also very simple. For communities with high terrain, the floors should also be high, with 25 or more floors, preferably the top floor. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Building an absolute safe house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Building an absolute safe house. X City, where Nancy is located, is a first-tier city with a permanent population of over 10 million and does not face the sea. After the apocalypse, there is no paradise in the world, and going to other places may not necessarily be better than living here. This place is not facing the sea and there will be no tsunami, which is already a good thing for Nancy. After all, just a month into the past and end of the world, the power supply had not been cut off yet. Nancy learned from the internet that several major cities facing the sea had been mercilessly engulfed by tsunamis. There are also some areas near the mountains where serious mudslides have occurred. Compared to those places, X City is already very lucky. When unsure where it was truly safe, Nancy decided to stay in X City. The speed of intermediaries is still very fast. On the afternoon of the third day, Nancy finished receiving the last batch of goods in the warehouse and received a call from the agent, saying that there were already buyers for the villa and housing that met her requirements. Nancy met the buyer first, discussed and signed the contract directly, and soon received the full payment. They are happy to give money, and Nancy is also happy to move. In the past 2 days, Nancy has already put all the furniture she often uses and likes in the villa into the space, and the cats have also temporarily lived in the space. The villa has been tidied up, and Nancy has handed over the keys and left the house. Driving off road is considered as completing the move. As for the properties introduced by the agent, Nancy also went to see them. There are a total of 3 housing options, which are adjacent to 3 residential areas. One set is on the 25th floor, one set is on the 27th floor, and there is also one set is on the 32nd floor. Not a single set is the top level. Although it's a pity that it's not on the top floor, time is tight, and Nancy didn't pick and choose anymore. He just decided on the set on the 32nd floor. This is a mid to high-end residential area with a wide range of room types, ranging from 60 square meters to 160 square meters. This house in Nancy has an indoor area of 70 square meters, with 2 bedrooms, 1 living room, and 1 bathroom. The layout is average. After the original owner bought this house, they didn't even do the decoration, it was a rough house. This saves a lot of trouble for Nancy. No need to demolish, just do the decoration. After completing the transfer procedures, Nancy contacted a decoration company. The style of the house is not important, and the reasonable use of space is also not important. The only requirement of Nancy is to be sufficiently safe. I have social anxiety and lack a sense of security, so I hope my house can be safe enough, Nancy said to the decoration company. Miss Nan, how safe does she hope to be? Just as secure as a bank's vault. What? I hope you can use the strongest materials to weld all the sides, top, and bottom of my house together. Even if this building collapses, it will be fine. What? The glass should have 3 layers of bulletproof material, the door should have a bank vault door, and there should be surveillance outside the door. In the room, one of the bedrooms is connected to the living room. In the living room, I need a fireplace, a safe and concealed smoke exhaust outlet, and I also need to install a large cooktop. Don't worry, money is not a problem. If the work can be completed within 20 days and the quality is satisfactory, I will pay you an additional 30% of the wages. Can it be done? Yes. Upon hearing his firm and powerful answer, Nancy was satisfied. Money ability is just so easy to use. After arranging the decoration, Nancy bought a plane ticket and went to M Country. This is not Nancy's first time coming to M Country. When her parents were here before, she often came and lived in M Country for 3 years, learning various skills with a retired mercenary. Knives, guns, and sticks, unlocking and climbing over walls, changing appearance and voice, proficient in vehicles, ships, machinery, and guns, not to mention everything, but able to get started. Nancy came to M Country this time and directly contacted him. This person's name is James, and he is from M Country. After not being a mercenary, he started doing business. His business covers a wide range, whether it's diesel, gasoline, or firearms and ammunition. As long as he has money, he can buy them from his hands. Nancy rented a rundown warehouse and bought goods with pre-exchanged M gold. Coal and firewood, knives, guns, and sticks, firearms and ammunition, gasoline and diesel, solar generators, diesel and gasoline generators, even hand grenades, landmines, explosives, and small guns, all of which cost Nancy 100 million. When the goods arrived, Nancy directly packed them into the space and left the warehouse in the dark, heading to another continent where he bought a lot of meat. Pigs, cows, sheep, chickens, ducks, and fish. All of these need to be slaughtered and divided, placed in different boxes, and labeled on the outside to avoid not knowing which one is inside and what is inside. Afterwards, Nancy traveled to countries H and R. These two countries also have a variety of delicious foods and abundant seafood. Nancy kept changing her appearance, identity, and bought a lot of ingredients. Seafood, pork, as well as chicken, duck, beef and mutton, various sausages, and canned goods. The meat and seafood, Nancy, were all processed by someone to ensure that they could be directly cooked before being stored in the space. In order to make more reasonable use of the basement and to make it easier to find things, Nancy also ordered a batch of cargo racks and sorted out various items. In addition to food, Nancy also bought a large amount of medicine. Fever-reducing medicine, cold medicine, anti-inflammatory medicine, as well as medicine for treating stomach pain, diarrhea, and various external injuries. Sanitary cotton balls, cotton swabs and iodine, various types of bandages, pure cotton gauze, bandages, glucose, physiological saline, and various injections and tools needed for infusion are all available. These are not very easy to buy domestically, but there are not as many restrictions when buying them outside. Fruits and vegetables are also essential, all stored by ton. I didn't have time to buy in China before, so why not buy a batch abroad first? As for those that are not available abroad, buying some after returning to China is enough. Finally, Nan resigned and made a trip to Russia. Russia is very cold, so they are doing better than other countries in terms of cold prevention. Their various heating equipment, as well as coal, Nancy bought another large quantity. After staying abroad for 12 days and buying everything that was supposed to be bought, Nancy immediately returned to the country. There are still 13 days left until the end of the world. 13 days is neither long nor short. Nancy did not directly return to X city, but went to some cities with famous cuisine. Every time we go to a city, Nancy has to buy some specialty products, starting at a few tens of pounds each. I bought dozens or even hundreds of snacks and barbecues on the roadside, as well as delicious dishes in restaurants. Fortunately, there are quite a few shelves to buy, and they are sorted and placed on the shelves. When it is inconvenient to cook, you can eat them directly. After this round, it will be another 10 days. Buy more and spend money quickly. After buying all sorts of things and deducting the final payment for modifying the car and renovating the house, Nancy still has 5 million yuan in available funds. 5 million is not much. After some thought, Nancy went to buy a boat. It's not a luxury model, it's a practical model. To avoid accidents, we need to buy the necessary accessories, repair tools, and engine oil for the ship. Fortunately, there is enough diesel in Nancy's stock, so there is no need to buy it separately. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Acceptance of RV and Safe House. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Acceptance of RV and Safe House. After the arrival of the past and the end of the world, Nancy only lived for more than half a year. She didn't know if it would continue to be extremely cold or if there would be a day when the sun and ice would melt, so she could only do her best and prepare in advance. Anyway, the basement of the space seems to have no end, and even though Nancy bought so many things, he couldn't fill it up. It's not a problem to buy a boat and put it inside. After buying the ship, Nancy had less than 2 million left in his hands. Nancy didn't stay outside anymore and went straight back to X City to see his RV first. The RV of Nancy is white, without any decorations or a central door. Because it is a C-type RV, you can go to places with height and width restrictions in the city. The body is not that big or heavy, and it doesn't feel awkward to drive at all. Even walking on the road doesn't cause any turning back, it looks like a bigger van. From the appearance, there hasn't been much change in this car. But after Nan Si entered, he carefully checked all the materials and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. As long as the anti-slip chains are installed, even in extreme cold, this car can still be driven. With this mobile home, Nan Si was extremely satisfied and paid the final payment directly. At the same time, he asked them to deliver the accessories, tires, and other items directly to the warehouse. That warehouse has been rented for a month and has not yet expired. After the delivery person left, Nan Si closed the warehouse door and collected all the car and accessories into the space. Nan Si left the warehouse, locked the door, and left without looking back. She shouldn't come here again. Nan Si took a taxi and went directly to the community where the new house is located. This community is called Mingqing Jiayuan, which is divided into Western-style houses and high-rise buildings. There are 10 Western-style houses, each with 11 floors. 20 high-rise buildings, each with 30.3 floors. Mingqing Jiayuan is not a new residential area. It has been 5 years since the house was delivered, and the occupancy rate is as high as 90%. Even during weekdays, there are many people in the community, mostly elderly people playing with their children. In early May, the sun is shining brightly and the spring breeze blows, making it the most comfortable season. Unfortunately, with such good weather, the balance is less than 3 days left. The Nan Si house is located in Building 11, which is very close to the Western-style houses because there are many Western-style houses in front of it without tall buildings. The high-rise of Building 11 has abundant natural lighting. When Nan Si came over, he had already called the decoration company and someone was also sent over there. When Nan Si arrived at the 32nd floor, he saw a man waiting at his doorstep. The man opened the electronic lock in front of Nan Si and told her how to change the password and fingerprint, then waited for Nan Si's acceptance. The house was empty, with walls, tops, and floors all shining with a metallic luster. As soon as the lights were turned on, the whole room looked more technological. When the Nan Si was being inspected, the man was also following along, still muttering in his heart that the house looked pretty good everywhere, but it didn't look like it was inhabited by anyone. Who would have built such a cold house? Nan Si doesn't care what the man thinks in his heart. After inspecting the house with a large hammer and confirming that the walls, doors, and windows were sturdy enough, the final payment was made and the man was sent out. As soon as the man left, Nan Si immediately cleared the fingerprints on the electronic lock and changed the password. After closing the door, Nan Si took out a monitoring device from his toolbox and checked every inch of the room. There are no monitoring devices or listening devices in the room. The monitoring installed by Nan Sirang are all outside the door, allowing for a comprehensive and unobstructed view of the situation in the corridor outside the door, even in the stairwell. Looking at the monitoring panel, Nan Si's heart became more stable. The natural disasters in the apocalypse are certainly terrifying, but under them, the evil in people's hearts is infinitely magnified, and people are also very scary. With these surveillance cameras and the generator in the space, even if there is a power outage in the future, Nancy can still monitor the outside situation to ensure her own safety. The room was cleaned very clean, and Nan Si started decorating it directly. Louvers have already been installed on the window, so there is no need for Nan Si to install them separately. What Nan Si needs to do is to take out the furniture she needs. After the second bedroom and living room were connected, the layout of the house became one bedroom, one living room, and one bathroom. There is a fireplace and a large pot table in the living room, and it will be very warm when burned. Nan Si directly laid a carpet in the original second bedroom position, and then placed his accustomed bed. The bedside table was placed, and a wardrobe was placed at the end of the bed. The sleeping and resting area was even arranged. Nancy used nail-free adhesive to hang the curtain, which can separate the sleeping and resting area, but it will not block the heat. There is a sideboard next to the wall of the large pot for cutting and preparing vegetables, and the tea bar is also over there. Lay a carpet next to the fireplace, and place a comfortable imperial bed on it, where you can lie down and read books or watch dramas. In the corner, there are several litter boxes placed separately. The water basin and food basin are placed next to the noble consort's bed. These are not electric, but manual. This is also to avoid inconvenience after a power outage. There is no TV in this room, but Nancy bought a portable TV that can be plugged into a hard drive. Even if the internet is disconnected after the apocalypse, as long as you plug in the pre-downloaded hard drive, you can watch whatever you want. The original master bedroom was filled with fitness equipment by Nancy. To live well in the apocalypse, having food and drink is just the basics, and having a strong physique is equally important. The function of the toilet is available now and at the beginning of the rainstorm. Nancy plans to seal the sewer with cement after the water and power supply are cut off. The kitchen also has a stove and kitchen utensils, which can be used in the next few days. After the apocalypse, their usefulness is expected to decrease. By the time everything is arranged, the sky has completely darkened. After a tiring day, Nancy no longer had the energy to cook and directly took out finished dishes from the basement to eat. Before starting the meal, Nancy took 4 cats out of the space. During this period, 4 cats stayed in the space alone. At first, they were a bit scared, but after a while, they adapted and became incredibly comfortable. The space is spacious, and Nancy has also raised some small animals. The 4 cats either go up the tree to bask in the sun or chase after chickens and ducks under the tree every day. Now suddenly being taken out of space by Nancy, 4 cats with bewildered faces are in an unfamiliar environment. However, after the matter of space, their adaptability has clearly become much stronger. Without much comfort from Nancy, they started spinning around the room themselves. Entering an unfamiliar environment, take a spin and familiarize yourself with the scent, which is the source of a cat's sense of security. After Nancy opened cans for them and added a drop of Linquan to each can, he stopped caring about them. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Neighbors of the New Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For almost a month now, Nancy has been feeding them diluted Linquan every day, and the dilution ratio is getting smaller and smaller. Now they can already drink a drop of Linquan, and basically won't eliminate any impurities, and their stool doesn't smell anymore. Not only 4 cats, but also Nancy himself. When I first took Linquan, I would eliminate impurities every day. Now, I have completely eliminated impurities. But Nancy still drinks some spiritual spring water every day, even if it has no physical effect, there is still psychological comfort. Nancy sat by the window, and on the table were fried bullfrogs, stir-fried mutton slices with Chinese onion or green scallion with scallions, shredded pork with fish flavor, cauliflower in dry pot, sweet-scented osmanthus wine rice dumpling, and a large bowl of rice. This is the first meal since moving to a new home, and also the first time since her rebirth that Nancy has sat down to eat peacefully and comfortably. Since her rebirth, Nancy has been busy every day, constantly tense in spirit, afraid of not being able to prepare the necessary supplies in time. Now that everything has finally been prepared, my heart has finally settled down. She has already finished everything she can and should do. The rest is to do everything in one's power and obey fate. 4 dishes, 1 soup, and a large bowl of rice were eaten clean by Nancy alone. After finishing, Nancy can still eat a plate of fruits, drink a bottle of yogurt, and eat a bag of spicy strips. Since washing the essence and marrow, Nancy's strength has been increasing, her physique has been improving, and she has been eating more and more. That is to say, she hoarded enough goods, otherwise she would probably have to starve to death in the end of the world. After eating and drinking enough, Nancy went to the bathroom to take a bath, and her drowsiness surged up. She went straight to bed. After nearly a month of hard work, Nancy was exhausted and slept until the next afternoon. There is still one day before the end of the world arrives. In May, on a half-afternoon day, the sunshine was particularly bright, pouring in through the glass and filling half of the bed. Not only is Nancy lying on the bed, but 4 cats are also lying there. As soon as Nancy reached out, she picked up Tian Tian, who was lying by the pillow, into her arms. Tian Tian is a puppet, just 1 year old, a sweet and soft little fairy cat, with a first-class temperament and personality. Even though he was carried into his arms by Nancy in his sleep, he didn't struggle or resist, just changed to a comfortable position and continued to sleep. In addition to Rice Dumpling and Tian Tian, Nancy has a white cat called Bai Bai and a big orange called Xiaozai. The 4 cats are of different ages and breeds, but they get along very well and are all very clingy. As long as Nancy is at home, wherever Nancy is, they are there. After coiling all 4 cats, it seemed like it was almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Nancy only got up and dressed up before leaving the door. There was a rainstorm warning on the news, but apparently no one took it seriously. In the year when there was no rainstorm warning, everyone had already been used to it. Nancy still had nearly 2 million yuan in her hand, and she didn't have anything to buy anymore. She went to the bank and exchanged most of it for gold, leaving only 100,000 yuan on her card. In the eyes of the bank manager, Nancy directly packed the gold into his backpack. Actually, after leaving the bank, Nancy directly put the gold into the space. There are many supermarkets of all sizes near Mingqing Jiayuan, and Nancy randomly chose one and walked in. Keeping the money in the card can only become a number, it's better to buy it directly for food. To Nancy's surprise, there were still quite a few people in the supermarket at this time. Looking around, most of them are middle-aged men and women who are pushing carts, which contain a lot of rice, flour, grains, vegetables, and fruits. It seems that rainstorm warning has some effect on these elderly people. They have come from hard times and also have a sense of crisis. In the past, this sense of worry was not significant. But in the present, this consciousness can make them live longer. There are also many young people like Nancy in the supermarket, but most of them are strolling around in the snack area. There is not a shortage of anything in Nancy's space, so most of the items she buys are snacks, some of which she didn't stock up on. Now that she sees them, she thinks it's good, so why not try buying them? A cart of snacks cost 1 or 2,000 yuan. At the checkout, Nancy could feel many people staring at her, their eyes quite complicated, but no one said anything. The pace of society is very fast now, and people in big cities also pay attention to social distance. Even if you see something new, you just take a few more glances and won't evaluate it in person. Nancy's strength is very strong now, with several large bags of snacks and nuts weighing dozens of pounds. He carries them with both hands and walks quickly with his feet. On the way back, the sun had already set on the horizon, leaving only a red glow in the western sky, which was very dazzling and beautiful. Nancy heard a passerby say that the sunset is 1,000 miles away, and it will definitely not rain tomorrow. The weather forecast is walking people again. Listening to these words, Nancy just curved his lips. Whether the weather forecast is walking or not will naturally be known tomorrow. When Nancy returned to the unit building, it was already past 7 o'clock, which was the time for those who had finished work and school to go home. Even if there are 2 elevators, there are over 30 floors with 4 households on each floor. At this time, if you want to take the elevator, you still have to wait. There are many people waiting for the elevator at this time. Just as Nancy approached with a few large bags of things, someone turned to look over. Staring at by more than a dozen people, Nancy stood in the corner of the crowd without any discomfort. Coincidentally, just as Nancy stood up, the elevator arrived. A group of people entered the elevator, and as it slowly went up, it stopped layer by layer, and the number of people in the elevator decreased. At the 32nd floor, Nancy and the remaining 3 people walked out of the elevator together. Nancy only moved in yesterday. This is the first time she has seen her neighbors. These 3 people, one is a middle-aged woman in her 40s, holding a 4-wheeled cart filled with rice, noodles, grains, oil, fruits, and vegetables. Obviously, she has just returned from shopping at the supermarket. In addition, there is a man and a woman, both around 30 years old. The 2 of them are well dressed and exquisitely dressed, and they have been whispering along the way. It seems that they are a couple, or maybe a couple. As expected, after the 2 of them left the elevator, they entered the easternmost household. The aunt pushing the car entered the westernmost household. Their building has 4 households on each floor, with large units on both sides, 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, and 2 small units of 70.80 square meters in the middle. 3 neighbors. Nancy met 2 households today, but she doesn't know who lives next door to her. Nancy thought to herself that the speed of opening the door was not slow either. As soon as I opened the door, I saw 4 cats waiting at the door. Seeing this scene, Nancy burst into laughter in an instant. People who have never owned a cat will not understand the joy of returning home and opening the door, and seeing the cat squatting at the door to welcome them. 9. Chapter 9 Purchasing Activity Plans. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Nancy was not in a hurry to change her shoes. She kneaded each cat a few times in sequence, calmed each little kitten, and then changed her shoes. She carried a bag and walked into the living room. There aren't many things in the living room, which looks a bit empty at first glance. Nancy looked at the 4 cats surrounding her feet and quickly understood their intentions. This is enough to eat, drink, and sleep, and I want to play in the space. Coincidentally, Nancy himself also planned to enter the space and went straight in with 4 cats. Watching the 4 cats happily running towards the chicks and ducks, Nancy smiled and teleported to the top of the bamboo tower, starting to install solar panels. Nancy bought many sets of solar power generation equipment. Although she didn't know if the one hanging in the sky in the space was the sun, she still decided to give it a try. If solar panels can really be used in space, then after the apocalypse, she will really have no worries about using electricity and can also save a lot of fuel. Solar panels are not difficult to install, and after studying the instructions for a while, Nancy had a clear idea in her mind. It took 2 hours to finally install all the equipment. There's no need to do anything next, just be patient and wait. Nancy glanced at the 4 cats and saw that they had no intention of going out at all. He didn't care about them and went out of the space first. The time flow rate in the space is the same as outside, and Nancy stayed in the space for 2 hours. By now, it was already past 9 p.m. outside. Nancy turned on the light and had a simple meal before going to the kitchen. When buying household appliances, Nancy bought many large-capacity rice cookers, which can steam up to 18 kilograms of raw rice at a time, enough for 5, 6, or 10 people to eat. 10 pots of rice were steamed together, and the kitchen was filled with food without even a place to eat. The rice is steamed quickly, at most for half an hour. Taking advantage of this time, Nancy returned to the space and began washing and cutting meat, preparing for the later braised meat. There are already quite a few cooked foods in the basement of the space, but Nancy has a large appetite now, so it's better to prepare more cooked foods. When extreme cold arrives, people will feel extremely hungry and cold, and their sense of smell will become particularly sensitive. Cooking later can easily attract the attention of others and cause unnecessary trouble. The most important thing is to prepare it in advance and place it there, so you can eat it any time you want, which is very convenient. Throughout the night, Nancy walked in and out of the space. After steaming the rice, pour it into a clean stainless steel bucket and place it directly on the shelf in the basement. This big bucket is 1 meter high and can hold a special amount of food. It also has a lid, which is very convenient for holding cooked food. The speed of stewing meat is slower than steaming rice, but Nan-ci set up 10 rice cookers in the living room and harvested dozens of pots of stewed meat overnight. Braised pork belly in soy sauce, stewed lamb chop, stewed cow's nest bone, corn rib soup, stewed pork tripe, stewed beef brisket with potato and tomato, stewed sheep scorpion, stewed chicken soup, stewed pig feet with soybean, etc. There are several pots of each. Although Nancy worked hard all night for it, he didn't feel tired at all. On the contrary, looking at the rows of stainless steel barrels in the basement, Nan-ci felt a sense of security. Coming out of the basement, Nan-ci inserted a row into the bamboo tower. Insert the strip into the solar battery, and the small light on the strip will instantly light up. It really works. The one hanging in the sky in space is actually like the sun outside, capable of generating electricity. The surprise came too quickly, and Nancy's face was filled with excitement and a smile. Solar energy can be used for power generation, so the super large capacity batteries she bought have room for improvement. Fully charge the space and take it out, whether it's watching TV, playing games, or heating and lighting, it can all be opened up and used. Not only that, some electrical appliances in the space can also be arranged. If you build your own house with a solar water heater and water tower on top and a bathroom on the bottom, it will be very convenient to take a shower in the future. The weight of solar water heaters and water towers is not light, and using bamboo or wood to build houses is not very suitable. The technical content of cement and brick construction is too high, and Nancy himself cannot handle it. After much thought, it is more reliable to buy a promotional factory. Even if he hasn't slept all night, Nancy is still full of energy. Quickly washing up, changing clothes, and having breakfast, Nan-ci hurriedly left the door. As soon as she walked out of her own house, Nan-ci felt a chill all over her body. The temperature in May was supposed to be suitable, but now it feels like a sudden drop of 10 degrees. Even though Nan-ci had already put on a thick coat before coming out, he still shivered. Without any hesitation, Nan-ci turned around and returned home, quickly adding a sweater to his coat. While arranging his autumn pants, he also changed his pants to windproof quick-drying pants, and his shoes were directly replaced with waterproof short boots. After Nan-ci finished dressing up and walked out of the house again, the aunt who happened to live in the westernmost area also opened the door and walked out. Auntie was wearing a light purple down jacket, black pants, and a scarf around her neck, which was even thicker than Nancy's. Nancy only glanced at his aunt and was about to retract his gaze when he heard her familiar saying, "You just moved in, right? Before your home was renovated, you didn't even stay at home to watch. You really have a big heart." People from the renovation company, as long as the owner is not around, are just fooling around. Probably because Nan-ci didn't say a word, Auntie changed the topic. This day is about changing. Yesterday it was predicted that there would be a heavy rainstorm today, and it would cool down today. I'm going to the supermarket to buy some vegetables. Are you going to the supermarket too? Having experienced the post-apocalyptic Nan-ci, I don't like to get too close to others. Especially for neighbors who have just met, Nan-ci doesn't want to have deep friendships. Listening to Auntie's rambling words, Nan-ci only replied lightly, "No, it's not." Seeing Nan-ci, she didn't want to say much, and Aunt pursed her lips without saying a word. It was already past the morning shift, and there were not many people using the elevator. It wasn't long before they took the elevator downstairs. Just walked out of the unit door, facing a gust of cold wind, the person instinctively wrapped their clothes tightly and squeezed their neck. Without any hesitation, Nan-ci quickened his pace and left the community. She received both the RV and off-road vehicle in the basement of the space, and now she can only take a taxi when going out. Nan-ci didn't go to the factory that sold the activity factory, but went straight to the warehouse he had previously rented. Taking a taxi, Nancy immediately searched online for the contact information of the activity factory and called. These types of factories are available in stock and can be loaded and delivered immediately as needed. A light steel flat roof movable factory building costs 300 yuan per square meter. Even if a bathroom needs to be more spacious, 20 square meters is enough, and it only costs 6,000 yuan to get it. Just in case, Nancy ordered 5 directly. 10, Chapter 10 It's raining. The end of the world begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is still 100,000 yuan in Nancy's card, which is enough to cover the cost of 5 activity factories. There is still over 70,000 yuan left, which is enough for a period of time in the future. After adding the other party's WeChat account, Nancy directly transferred the money and sent the location of the warehouse. After arriving at the warehouse, Nancy was also deeply moved. I thought I would never come again, but I didn't expect to come back in just 2 days. After waiting for about an hour, the delivery car arrived. Fortunately, the warehouse is located in the suburbs, so there is no need to enter the city. Otherwise, the semi-trailer for delivery will not be able to enter, and Nancy cannot expect to receive the goods immediately. The gate of the warehouse is high and large enough to accommodate the movable factory building and deliver it directly. Just a 20 square meter house is not small, even with the help of tools, moving is not that easy. After working hard for 4 or 5 hours, I finally put all 5 houses into the warehouse. It was already past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was already past lunchtime. In addition to the originally agreed shipping fee, Nancy sent an additional 2,000, which should be considered as a hard work fee. Watching them drive away, Nancy closed the warehouse door and inspected several houses to ensure there were no issues before finally taking them into the space. One is placed on one side of the bamboo tower, while the others are all placed in the basement and taken out when needed. After locking the door of the warehouse, Nancy took a taxi and waited for a few minutes, but no one received the order. It was only 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but the sky was already very dark, and the wind was even stronger than in the morning. Heavy rain was about to come. No one has accepted the order for a long time, and Nancy is also a bit anxious in her heart. I was planning to spend some money to buy a luxury car when a drop of rain fell on my phone screen with a clatter. Nancy looked up and saw dense raindrops falling rapidly. As soon as I looked up, there were more raindrops on my face. It's raining. Nancy no longer hesitated and immediately added money to take a luxury car. This type of car is usually expensive, but now it's windy and rainy, and the price has doubled. Nancy didn't take this seriously. The most important thing right now is to go home, spending more money doesn't matter. Anyway, after today, the purchasing power of money will gradually decline until it completely loses its effectiveness and becomes waste paper. At that time, not to mention being in a car, even wiping one's buttocks would feel uncomfortable. The car was speeding towards the city, and the rain was getting heavier and heavier. Even if the wipers are turned on at the fastest speed, rainwater will still block the glass and affect visibility. The further you drive into the city, the more cars there are, and the speed of driving also slows down, resulting in longer and longer queues of traffic. X-City has rainy and cloudy seasons every year, and the city's drainage system is still very well done. However, even so, there was gradually accumulated water on the road. Nancy sat in the back seat and looked out the car window. There were no more pedestrians on the road, only a long convoy slowly moving. The driver is a man in his 30s, dressed in a suit and leather shoes. At the beginning, I didn't say a word, but as the traffic jam grew longer, I became impatient and had to honk my horn from time to time. Nancy's mood is not much better than the driver's. Her original plan was to stay at home until it rained, but now it's pouring rain and she hasn't been able to go home. No one can blame this, it can only be said that the plan cannot keep up with the changes. It was originally only a half-hour journey, but in the end, it took a full 3 hours and there was an extra 100 yuan for the fare. Nan Ci doesn't care about this 100 yuan. Being able to successfully return to the community is more important to her than anything else. The terrain of Mingqing Jiayuan is relatively high, and it is a mid to high-end residential area. The drainage is also well done, and there is no water accumulation at this time. But on the road outside the community, the accumulated water has already reached the ankles. Fortunately, Nan Ci was wearing waterproof boots, which prevented her from being submerged in water. Nan Ci came out with a backpack on his back, took out an umbrella directly from inside, and walked towards the community holding it. Although holding an umbrella, the wind and rain were strong at this moment, and the effect of the umbrella was negligible. It can only be said that it is better than nothing. That is to say, Nan Ci's clothes are all waterproof, otherwise he would have become a drowned rat long ago. There are not many people in the community, but there are many people talking at the entrance of the unit building. As soon as Nan Ci walked into the entrance of the unit building, everyone turned their heads and looked over. You just came back from outside. Is there any standing water on the road outside? How is it outside? It's raining so hard, and if there's water on the road, how can we pick up the children? Are you still stuck in traffic outside? Can you drive out? Listening to the various inquiries from everyone, Nan Ci had no expression on his face and answered calmly. There is already standing water on the roads outside the community, which can submerge ankles. There are many cars on the road, and the traffic jam is quite severe. After finishing these words, Nan Ci went straight through the crowd and walked to the side of the elevator to wait for it. Everyone got the answer they wanted from Nan Ci and didn't bother him anymore. They all discussed what to do. Listening to their discussion, Nan Ci tugged at the corners of his mouth. If you have time to stand here and have pointless discussions, why not hurry up and set off? It's time to buy things, it's time to pick up children. If they don't go now, it will be too late for them to regret when the water is too deep to drive. Fortunately, there are still people in this world with clear minds. When Nan Ci walked into the elevator, a corner of his eye caught a glimpse of several people rushing out of the apartment building, unsure if they were going to pick up their children or go shopping. If someone takes the lead, then someone follows. When the elevator door slowly closed, half of the people had already run out. As the elevator door closed, Nan Ci no longer paid attention to the outside situation. Although not wet by the rain, my body feels sticky and uncomfortable. After returning home, Nan Ci took a good shower and had some food before walking to the window to observe the situation outside. Nan Ci took out a telescope and could see everything on the road. The accumulated water on the road has deepened, and it can already submerge half of the car body. Several cars have stalled, and the owner is anxiously making a rescue call. However, it was obvious that they did not receive the desired response, their faces becoming increasingly ugly. The road was already difficult to walk on, and with cars stalling on the road, the entire street was blocked into a parking lot. Some car owners gave up waiting for rescue, got off the car, and braved the rain to move forward. But some people don't give up and still sit in the car waiting. Nan Ci put down his telescope and didn't look any further. It's raining heavily, but most people still feel lucky and don't think it will last long. In just a few hours, the heavy rain will extinguish the luck in these people's hearts. Nan Ci turned around and went to the kitchen, ready to continue cooking. While the water and electricity are still running, natural gas can also be used normally. If you can make more cooked food, make more. When the water, electricity, and natural gas have all stopped, if you want to cook again, you can only go to the space. The electric cooker is used to cook congee, steam rice and stew meat, and 2 pressure cookers are put on the gas stove to stew.